What if the reason you feel stuck isn't that life is against you, but that the universe is testing whether you will change? What if seeing this message right now is the evidence you already passed a hidden exam most people fail, one of courage, clarity, and surrender? This isn't fluff. It's a practical map that blends quantum science and ancient spiritual practice to rewrite how your life responds to you. In the next few minutes, you'll learn not just to wish, but to become the magnetic source that pulls your deepest desires into reality. You'll meet the real obstacles that sabotage manifesting and the exact practices to bypass them. Stay with me, do the exercises, and you'll change the score of your life from reaction to creation. We live in a culture that prizes speed, external proof, and measurable outcomes, but manifestation lives in a different currency: frequency, feeling, and attention. Quantum physics teaches us that at the smallest scales reality is not fixed. Particles exist as probabilities until observed. Spirituality has always said something similar: consciousness matters. Together, these perspectives suggest a surprising truth: your internal state is not a passive backdrop but an active participant in shaping what you experience. Knowledge alone is not enough. Most people learn the theory, then revert to old emotional habits when pressure mounts. The problem is rarely that you don't know what to want, it's that you have hidden resistance wired into your nervous system that rewrites your intentions before they land. Resistance looks like doubt, urgency, shame, or the creeping compulsion to force outcomes by overworking and over-explaining. Neuroscience shows repeated emotional patterns create neural pathways that act like grooves on a record, pulling you back into the same outcomes. Without practices to shift feeling, good intentions remain wishful thinking. People tell me they manifested on some days and failed on others. The difference is not luck but alignment. When fear rises, it changes your physiology and your magnetic field. When calm arises, possibilities widen. This section will unpack the hidden saboteurs and how they form inside you. I will include small practical exercises you can do daily to shift the baseline of how you feel. Real change asks for repetition, not rare epiphanies. Small, consistent shifts in state accumulate into life-changing probability shifts. An emotional habit feels automatic because it was rehearsed. You can rehearse a new habit. Many practices promise immediate miracles, but most fail because they ignore the biology of feeling. Your autonomic nervous system does not care about clever explanations. It responds to pattern. If your body expects scarcity, it will interpret neutral signals as threats and close opportunities down. That is why mindset work alone often feels shallow. You must do practices that change physiology, breath, posture, rhythm, and felt experience, so the story in your head has a matching state in your body. Without that match, your thoughts float like untethered balloons. They might look pretty, but they drift away when pressure arrives. Another common problem is the speed trap. People try to hurry manifestation with desperate energy. Urgency creates agitation and a vibration of lack. The universe responds by matching vibration, not logic. When you operate from frantic wanting, you signal absence and attract more absence. Lastly, many people misunderstand the role of action. Action matters, but action that contradicts your state creates friction. Imagine shouting, "I have enough time," while racing and skipping sleep to prove yourself. Your body does not believe the words. In short, the core problems are emotional habit, physiological mismatch, and misapplied action. Naming these problems removes the shame and gives us clear leverage points. The first exercise is simple. Exercise. For 3 minutes, sit quietly and notice the first 3 feelings that arise without judgment. Name them out loud or on paper: fear, excitement, frustration, relief, whatever shows up. That naming separates you from automatic reactivity and creates a tiny space where choice becomes possible. Repeat it each morning and watch how small recognition opens the gap between impulse and response. The second exercise is a reality check. Pick one desire you have been chasing and write down the actions you are taking that contradict that desire. If you want more rest but reply to every message at midnight, you have a mismatch. Noticing the mismatch is not failure, it is data. Use it to course correct. The discovery is simple and radical. The bridge between quantum physics and spirituality is attention plus feeling. When an intention is held with clear attention and consistent feeling, it changes the probability field around you. This is not tribal mysticism divorced from observation. It is a practical convergence of ideas, the act of measurement in quantum theory, and the role of feeling in spiritual traditions. Both point to one lever: conscious observance. You do not need to be an expert in physics to use these principles. You need to learn a practice that trains attention and transforms feeling. I will introduce stories of people who used focused attention and intentional feeling to change careers, heal relationships, and recover well-being. One common discovery among those people is that they stopped arguing with evidence and started listening to subtle signs. They learned to treat intuition like a muscle. Practice makes it clearer. Another discovery is that action without alignment is like steering a car with the handbrake on. The most sustainable manifestations came from people who married inspired action with inner coherence. This requires rethinking common advice. Don't simply list goals. Feel them into being. The feeling is not fake positivity. It is a deliberate tuning of the nervous system to an orientation that expects good outcomes and responds adaptively when challenges appear. Physiological practices support this discovery. Breath regulates autonomic state, posture anchors confidence, and micro-rituals cue the system to a new default. For example, a daily 2-minute coherence breath aligns heart rhythm and calms stress response, which research suggests improves cognitive flexibility and social availability, both of which open the channels through which opportunities arrive. Another part of the discovery is the role of narrative.
How you narrate your life change your expectation engine.
If your internal story is things never work out, your pattern-seeking mind will prioritize data that confirms that story. When you intentionally create a new narrative, one anchored in possibility but grounded in practice, you create different filters for perception. The discovery also clarified the role of timing. Quantum-like potentials can exist for a while, but your habitual energy determines which potentials collapse into reality. To change outcomes, you do 3 things together: attend to subtle cues consistently, cultivate the felt experience of your wish fulfilled repeatedly, and take small aligned steps that communicate your new state to the world. One practical exercise: each evening, write a 1-paragraph mini-report from the perspective of tomorrow, describing one small success as if it already happened. Include how it felt in your body. This trains attention and feeling to notice follow-up opportunities. Over weeks, people report increasing synchronicity. Coincidences that once felt random now have the texture of friendly guidance. Finally, the discovery invites patience and curiosity. The universe is not a vending machine where you insert thought and get result. It is a creative system that responds to coherence over time. Be curious with experiments, not attached to immediate validation. The method I teach has 4 practical pillars: notice, feel, align, act. Notice means becoming a detective of your inner life, observing thoughts, sensations, and habitual reactions without judgment. Feel means deliberately cultivating the emotion of the wish fulfilled even before the external result appears. Align means adjusting your nervous system and daily choices so that your actions no longer contradict your intention. Act means taking inspired small steps that reflect the new state you are becoming, not frantic attempts to force an outcome. Each pillar is short, repeatable, and designed to change your baseline. Notice practice. Set an alarm twice a day and for 30 seconds scan your body. Where is tension? What narrative is looping? Name it and relax one muscle. That micro-intervention changes the feedback loop between thought and body. Feeling practice. Use a 2-minute visualization where you focus on one vivid detail of the desired reality. Feel the texture of a handshake, the weight of a check, the warmth of a conversation. Hold the feeling just long enough to register the body's response, and then release. Align practice. Audit one habit this week. If you want abundance, look at your money habits. If you want health, examine sleep and movement. Make one tiny change that signals your new identity: an automatic savings transfer of a small percent, a consistent 10-minute walk. Act practice. Choose an inspired step each day that makes sense from your new state. Inspired steps are small and feel right rather than frantic. Combine the practices into a 5-minute daily ritual: coherence breath for 1 minute, 2-minute visualization, and 1-minute journaling noting one tiny action for the day. Over time, these 5 minutes stack into much larger effects. Here are the exact micro-exercises. Exercise A, coherence breath. Inhale 4, hold 2, exhale 6. Repeat for 60 breaths or 3 minutes. Notice your heartbeat ease and your neck soften. Exercise B, 2-minute sensory visualization. Pick one microdetail and imagine it now. Include smell, touch, sound, and effect. Do not outline a long plot. Stay sensory. Exercise C, alignment audit. Write a list of one habit to change and a tiny first step. Commit publicly. Text a friend or log it. These 3 exercises shift both nervous system and attention. Applied repeatedly, they alter the probability distribution of your life in subtle yet real ways. The method also incorporates practical checks. If you feel intense resistance when attempting to feel the wish fulfilled, drop back to self-compassion practices. Resistance is often trauma or conditioning. Gentle pacing rebuilds trust with your system. You do not have to force joy, you need to build trust that life is capable of supporting you. Another component is environment. Curate small cues around you that remind you of the new state, an image, a phrase, an object with meaning. These cues prime your attention and make the inner practice easier to sustain. A final method note: science and spirit meet in feedback loops. Track small measurable metrics, sleep, mood, one behavioral marker, and notice correlations with your practice. This data removes superstition and strengthens commitment. Practice these methods for 30 days and evaluate objectively. What changed in your choices, feelings, and opportunities? Transformation is the accumulation of repeated alignment. It looks boring in daily life. More consistent mornings, fewer reactive nights, clearer boundaries. But the results can be dramatic: a different job, a healed relationship, improved health markers. People report opportunities appearing that match their new state rather than their old scripts. A transformation story: Marcus, a single dad, shifted from scarcity panic to steady intention, practiced the 5-minute ritual daily, and within 6 months received an unexpected promotion and more stable custody schedule. These stories are not magic. They are the natural consequence of a changed internal environment. When your baseline state changes, you attract information and resources that match that state. This is the same logic as tuning a radio to a new frequency. Different stations come into clarity. Transformation also changes your identity. You start to act like the person who always had the life you wanted. Identity shifts are the engine of lasting change because they rewire default choices. Consider a woman named Layla who felt invisible at work. She started small. Daily visualization focused on one micro detail, a colleague complimenting her idea. She practiced coherence breath before meetings and took a tiny action of sharing one concise idea each week. After months, she noticed more invitations to collaborate, and then a promotion followed. The transformation wasn't instant but steady. The practical sign of transformation is not always spectacle. Often it is reduced emotional reactivity and more consistent alignment with values. You sleep better, you make clearer decisions, you waste less time on what does not serve you. Another practical example involves health. A man named Daniel had recurring pain and chronic stress. He implemented the 5-minute ritual, added 2 short walks daily, and prioritized sleep hygiene. Over a few months, his pain episodes decreased and his doctor confirmed improved markers. Again, small shifts in baseline physiology created different outcomes. Transformation also deepens compassion. When you see your inner architecture, how beliefs were formed, how habits loop, you stop blaming yourself and begin to repair. This reduces the shame that often blocks manifestation. Emotionally, transformation invites humility. You learn to co-create with factors beyond your control while honoring the spheres where your energy matters most. A key hallmark of transformation is increased resilience. Instead of collapsing when something goes wrong, you return more quickly to your aligned state because you have practiced regaining balance. The final practical exercise here is reflection practice. Once a week, write 3 concrete signals of progress, small synchronicities, new opportunities, or shifts in feeling. Over months, this archive becomes proof that the method works, which fuels further practice. The mission is to bring these practices into everyday life and into community. Manifestation is not meant to be a private hobby. It becomes more potent when shared and refined with others. Your mission can be small. One person you help to change their morning practice is a ripple. Make it practical. Create a weekly check-in, a tiny accountability group, or teach one exercise to a friend. On a cultural scale, aligning inner change with outward service changes collective outcomes. This final section invites you to a concrete plan to keep momentum: daily 5-minute ritual, weekly reflection, monthly measurable goals. It will explain how to scale practices without burning out. Slow, steady, kind repetition beats frantic intensity. I'll also suggest ways to integrate science-based habits like sleep hygiene and movement to support energetic coherence. Begin each morning with 3 breaths, a concise gratitude list, and one bold tiny action that aligns with your vision. Practice this consistently, and you'll be training your nervous system to recognize possibility every day, turning rare lucky events into frequent lived reality moments that confirm your effort and celebrate small wins. The mission includes service. When you are more coherent, you give more effective help to those around you. Imagine a simple ripple. Your calmer presence affects a child, colleague, or partner, who then mirrors steadiness outward. That ripple multiplies. Practical steps to mobilize this mission: 1. Commit to the 5-minute daily ritual for 30 days and log outcomes. 2. Invite one person to join you for a weekly check-in call or message thread. 3. Teach one of the exercises to someone who could benefit and ask them to report back. Scale slowly. Avoid the trap of promising too much to too many people at once. The mission is sustainable when it is small, repeatable, and rooted in service rather than image. Finally, remember this: manifestation is both inner work and practical craft. It requires courage to feel, honesty to see what is true, and humility to act in alignment without forcing the world to conform to your timetable. You are not manipulating fate. You are learning a skill set for living with more clarity, choice, and grace. Call to action. If this resonated, subscribe, hit like, share your story in the comments, and try the 5-minute ritual today. If you're still watching, this isn't luck, it's a sign. You were meant to see this. Now prove you passed the test most people fail. Comment, "I passed the test." Hit like to lock in your frequency, and subscribe to step fully into the quantum circle, where your thoughts become reality.
This is your moment. Don't scroll, don't wait. Activate it NOW.